talked a lot about the Thompson twins, though, Kyle, and they play for the City Reapers in the Overtime Elite. We talked about them in our first episode, gave kind of like a brief overview of who they are. So we want to catch up with how their season has gone so far this season with the City Reapers. They're 9-0, undefeated. No game has been close except for the first one they had. They're winning by an average score of 98-75. So Amen and Ausar haven't played a lot of minutes per game, about 25 minutes per game for each of them. They're both 6'7", with near 7-foot wingspans, just over 200 pounds. They turned 20 years old on January 30th, so a little bit older than some of the freshmen in this class, which is fine. Amen's averaging 16.7 points, 5.9 assists, 5.6 rebounds, 2 steals, 0.7 blocks, shooting 67% from 2, 21% from 3, 82% from the free throw line in their 9 regular season games. Ausar, 17.2 points per game, 5.2 assists, 7.8 rebounds, 2.8 steals, 1.4 blocks, shooting 60% from 2, 33% from 3, and 64% from the free throw line. Just to give the basic box score overview of these guys in addition to their measurables. So it's been 9 games, Kyle. What have your early season takeaways been thus far this season with the Thompson twins?
The important kind of bioblast here is that these guys, like Kevin said, took a different path. They didn't go to college. They didn't, go to the G League Ignite. This is a new thing that they're doing. I don't think they were the first twins. There was another set of twins that did it before them, actually, I think, or a set of brothers. These guys moved from California to Florida when they were in the 8th grade, and then they stayed at the school they were at, won a state title when they were juniors, and then their senior year went to Overtime Elite, which was this new thing. Both of them have around 6'11" wingspans, as I understand it. I know they've done some pro day stuff. We mentioned this in the first episode. These are elite athletes. Ausar is a pretty good athlete, but Amen would be. I use the term 99th percentile. I mean, in terms of perimeter athletes, he will have a chance to be the best athlete in the league. I mean, do you agree or disagree with that?
He's skinny, lean Zion.
Yeah, in terms of explosiveness, yeah, I'd say that's true.
The quick twitch, every movement is fast. Looks like he's on 1.75 times speed, when everybody else is just at normal speed. That's what it looks like when you watch Amen Thompson.
Yeah, and I think that when people compare athletes, I know, I did a video about point guards, so about CP3, where I was talking about the different paces, the way stylistically guys play. I said Chris Paul was more like an R&B in the pocket drummer, and then I always thought that Derrick Rose was a heavy-handed punk rock drummer. Whereas I think when you're comparing types of athletes. I think that the powerful 0 to 60 speed of somebody like Russ, and then you compare that with the bendy, elastic, contorting, but explosive thing. I feel like Amen is kind of in that jaw. He's very elastic. He has a gracefulness when he's going around the rim. He doesn't just try to bowl you over with power or jump over you, which he can. Maybe it's a result of him just being so athletic that he can cruise. I'm always blown away by his gait and how just kind of graceful he is around the basket.
And it's what you're saying is true, with the ball in his hands or without the ball. And it's if he's sprinting up floor in transition, he's moving fast. And with the ball in his hands, it doesn't slow him down one bit at all. And I think the thing that's impressive with him is so many times you see great athletes don't know how to play slow.
Oh yeah,
they know how to tap the brakes and go from fast to slow, slow to fast when they need to manipulate defenses, use hesitations, hang dribbles. They get a bag. At 6'7", these kids are especially Amen, major shot creators. Ausar, more of the off-ball guy. Like you said, he's a very good, great athlete, but Amen is the otherworldly level athlete, which is why most, I believe most, if not all, big boards seem to have Amen ahead of Ausar. I think you find some, people anecdotally, there are people that prefer Ausar. But Amen, I think the argument for him as the third pick is very strong. I'm not sure where I'll have him end up. I think I have him 3 right now. with him, like, it's also not just playmaking either. Like, everything you're talking about with him athletically, it applies to defense too. Like, when he's really locked in. Ausar's been a bit better. Like, you saw that with the basic box score stats. Ausar averaging more steals and more blocks this year, but Amen can be every bit as great defensively when he's locked in. I mean, those guys, they hustle. There's never any lapses. Like, when it comes to their hustling and their intensity, their focus, they're smart with rotations. Like, when it comes to helping down inside, Amen had this block this year where he's helping off like a basic, like, closeout action from another teammate. And then he closed back out to his guy and blocked the corner 3-point shooter. He's that type of athlete where he's closing out in a blink and blocking 3-pointers. Ausar can do that too, but Amen and Ausar collectively, that's one of the reasons why their OTE team is just dominating every game. It's not just because they're creating buckets on offense. It's because they're dominating on defense together as well.
Yeah, I think, man, I mean, like, Amen, like, I know we're just kind of trending towards it because I do think Amen is the better prospect, and I think that's a pretty solidly true thing just for me. I haven't, I know maybe you have seen the people who anecdotally, like you said, have Ausar ahead of him. There are a lot of things to like about Ausar, but I mean, their ranges for me, you mentioned like as high as 3. I've really flirted with the idea of having him at 2. That's the thing. He's going to be one of the. I've almost pulled the trigger, and I still might. He's like, he has a range. He's going to be one of the toughest guys to gauge for me because when I look at all the different wings in this class, and I'm just like, would I rather have Amen or would I rather have Cam Whitmore? Would I rather have Amen or would I rather have Dariq Whitehead? It's like there are pluses and minuses all over the place. But his athleticism is the thing that is just so alluring, and you're like, it's going to open so many doors for him and the things that he does well. I think the big differentiator for me, though, is the fact his playmaking feel. Like, and I think that when you watch, and the stats are a little weird. You can tell me if you agree or disagree with this, but like the stats are, in some places, they're indicators like how their efficiency shooting the ball, but like the steals and things. Like if you watch their games, you mentioned that they're 9-0. They're not super competitive. I don't know where their age is based on like the median age of the guys that are in the overtime elite, but they
on the older end, I believe it's for like 16 to 20.
Yeah. So I mean, they look a little bored at times out there. They're physically ahead of these guys. A lot of their games end up in transition. So when you go and you watch like their steals, it's just like they're just jumping passing lanes with these guys who seem terrified by their athleticism and their maturity. Yeah. And then you'll watch them, and it's like, I was watching all of Amen's assists the other day, and I was like, well, 75% of them were just him throwing hit ahead. So you're not seeing a lot of half court chess is kind of what I was getting at.
Sure. And that's what if you're an NBA team and you're scouting these guys, that's where there's disappointment. I mean, like, credit to them for going to OTE. Like, I think that organization has a lot of potential long term. But it's not like they're going against grown men and 2A guys and guys that are going to get 10-day contracts in the NBA and the G League. It's not like they're going to some facing off against high-level competition with crazy road games and loud crowds and college basketball. It's not like they're overseas facing 30-year-old men, right? Like, if you're ranking the competition, OTE is by far the worst that the top prospects are facing right now between international, college, and G League. And that's no disrespect to OT. It's a young league. It's just the facts, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it really tough when it comes to assessing everything you're talking about there, Kyle. It's like, I would love to see them have to play a game where it's close down the stretch in the second half, and they got to get half-court offense going, and they have to generate a shot when the defense is game planning against them. I would love to see that. But we're not going to see that. We're just not. In all likelihood, we're not.
I'd love to see him play Ignite. That would be incredible. I mean, I feel like Ignite would kick the shit out of him, but it would just be fun to see. I think one thing that I wrote down for you, I don't know if you got to check this out, but when I heard that they were going to be playing in the tournament, the TBT
against Creighton, the Creighton players,
the blue, I forget their name. It was just like ex-Creighton guys, and these were like older dudes, and some of these guys I wrote down like he was guarding Marcus Foster, who was like an all Big East guard. I thought that game was weirdly a little indicative, honestly, because they didn't have like crazy output in those games.
The Omaha Blue Crew, for what it's worth, was the name of the game.
for anybody stressing over that, no, I think. Yeah, they both had kind of like modest stat lines. I mean, it was like they both got 9 points. Amen got 4 assists, and they both got 2 or 3 rebounds and some blocks in like roughly 27, 28 minutes altogether. But I was impressed by their pace did show up there, and I thought the ease of the functionality of their athleticism. You watched Amen, you watched Ausar both sort of slither their way to the hoop, both like throwing together dribble combinations to like create separation and to create hesitancy in the guys guarding them. I thought it translated. I don't think that they seemed intimidated at all by that higher competition. They lost that game, but that was one little inkling for me. And I think that's going to be part of the search for them as we try to like contextualize how good they are. And we assume what's going to translate is those little kind of indicators against good competition.